We learned to eat seeds that we found, grasses. We tried anything to have a full stomach. Then one day they said they were going to take us somewhere else to imprison us. They took us out of the mountains and down to the coast, and when they pulled up in front of this area, I recognized the old native tuberculosis sanitarium. They had made long barracks-like housing. They were about a half a block long, made of woven bamboo mats, and with a space like this in between that and a grass roof over the top. It was mud floors when it rained and dust floors when it was dry. We had double-decker racks on which to sleep, and we had about 130 people because they separated the foreigners immediately from the rest of the Dutch people. We called it the Heinz Barracks because we were just about 57 varieties. We had about every nationality you could think of. I don't know why they chose me. I was in my early 20s then. Why they chose me as their barracks leader. Perhaps it was my facility in 3 languages, the Dutch language, the Indonesian language, and of course English. And the first night, after I had set out our work roster, because we became the workforce for the Japanese, just like other prisoners were set to work for the Japanese. And after I had finished, and we allotted everyone something to do, and I said for the first week, let's rotate so that everybody can try every facet of work, so you can see what your body is able to sustain. And that night after I finished, I said, now, I want to have devotions with you. I said, if ever's time that we needed God, we need him now. And those people gathered to the front, and out of those times of devotion and working with those people, there were those that came to know Jesus Christ as their personal Savior. We had to raise pigs for the Japanese. The camp commander would go into the villages. He would shoot the dogs, bring them back. We had to skin them, cut them up, cook them with the stems of the banana plants so that those pigs could have 3 hot meals a day. They had a better dwelling than we had. They were living much luxury. They had cement floors. They had to have their floors mopped every day so that they had a clean place in which to live. When the garbage came in, you gave it the finger test. If it didn't slip between your fingers, it was enough to eat. I found out that dog livers don't taste a bit different from cow's liver. We raised chickens for them. I have stood hour after hour. I had spread out the chicken manure. You picked it up and put it on a mat and let it dry in the sun. And with a great big pestle and a mortar, I would pound that chicken manure until it was like powder, and then I had to sieve it and bag it to send it down to Makassar for the rose gardens of the Japanese. I had a lot of blisters on my hands. But I was glad that we had the chickens, because if there were eggs, we could take them up and give them to our people in the hospital. That was the first time I was ever in surgery. Came in one morning, and here was a hen. She was a real pet. She had about 12 little chicks. And every morning when I would to her, she would stand up, and just like she'd say, all right, let's move it out. And she would walk out with those little chicks behind her. One morning I came in and found her still in the wire enclosure. And I went over to examine her, and here was the skin from her neck down here, and here was a bare neck bleeding, and the skin up here just under the beak. And I began to examine her, and then the nurse came, and I said, it looks like we need to do some surgery on this hen. And so she said, I'll go up and get some balsam of Peru. She came down, and we put it all over that bare neck, and then we had a needle and thread. I run the needle through that skin, pull it down, and the hen would go, "Aw!" And she never tried to get away from me, though. And then we would pull this up, and we sutured it until we got it all back up there again, and it healed beautifully. And it was lovely to see that, because she was a good layer. And we had eggs for those that were very ill. We had to work on the coolie gang. You got backed up against the truck, and when they threw those big sacks on your back, you grabbed the ears of it and you walked away with it or else. For years after I came home, I wore a brace because of the damage that had been done to my spine. They set up a sewing room. We made the uniforms for the Japanese. We worked on the roads. Great big, like a hole, but a patchel they called it. We also had a honey dipper gang, and I worked on that. I'll tell you, when we took the tops off of the cesspool, I looked at that green mass under there, and it was years before I could even look at green pea soup after that. We had to empty their cesspools. I said I didn't think there was any kind of work I couldn't go into after the war.
If you want to see more videos like this, or simply want to support the channel, please like and subscribe.